You are listening to the award-winning The Young Jurks with Mike Crawford.
Begin with a developing story. Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found face up in the snow on Saturday morning
outside a home currently occupied by people known to O'Keefe.
Officer Saraf observed the victim to be cold to the touch, no signs of breath.
He was transported to the Good Samaritan Medical Center where he was pronounced dead.
State prosecutors accused Karen Reed, who was O'Keefe's girlfriend, of backing into him and leaving him to die in the snow.
Reed and the victim had been out drinking at a couple of bars in town the night before when they were later invited back to a home on Fairview Road.
She stated that she dropped the victim off and left.
Reed's attorney says she tried to call O'Keefe and had no idea anything had happened to him.
Reed pleaded not guilty to manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of a crash causing death.
An investigation into the death of a Boston police officer in Canton has taken a turn. Lawyers for the woman under arrest not only say their client is innocent, they're alleging a cover-up.
Prosecutors point to pieces of a broken taillight as evidence, but her lawyers argue the police report was altered.
First got to that scene at 6 a.m. and did not find a single piece of taillight. And then 12 hours later, boom, they found taillight everywhere.
People in this town are scared of the people who are supposed to protect and serve.
I don't think there's any kind of conspiracy or anything like that.
They say there were a lot of people at the home that night, and one of them Googled how long to die in the cold hours before Reed would have known O'Keefe was missing.
Free Karen Reed! Free Karen Reed! Free Karen Reed!
This is not a Hollywood star. This is an accused murderer getting a standing ovation as she enters the courtroom. What is going on out there?
Welcome to the Young Jurks tonight. Mike Crawford. We have a special episode tonight. Took a few nights off, refresh. After that last big show, a surprise show. We had 3 shows last week, was it? When Turtle Boy got arrested was the final show that evening. Been a few days. A lot has happened. We're still covering, obviously, Karen Reed and Turtle Boy. We've got a special guest tonight. So much news and information to cover. We're going to be back on it. Believe me, we're on it tonight. I don't even know where to start. But one thing I will say is that we've got some, I'm going to put these up here. Hold on 1 second here. We got some bumper stickers. We've had these for a while. Tonight, we'll kick in anyone who donates tonight. 50% of the money is going to go to us and 50% divided, which is 25% each. To the Free Karen Reed Defense Fund and 25% to Aiden Turtle Boy to defend him. And anyone that does kick in on the Cash App or Venmo is Mike Crawford TYJ or Mike Crawford 1 on the Cash App. If you put your name and mailing address, we'll ship out some of the bumper stickers to you. So that's tonight. We're doing that like we always do lately, is raising money to defend people. Gotten some criticism. Maybe we'll talk about that tonight. I don't think we need to. We're pretty transparent about what we do. Every donation that we get, we announce on the show. You can add them up like we add them up, and we publicly post how much money we raise and where the money goes as well. So if anyone has any questions, you can just look at what we're doing. It's very transparent. But I want to get to the guests because there's so much going on with Free Karen Reed and Turtle Boy and all of the things that are happening this week, court cases, maybe court hearings with Turtle Boy. There's going to be a big hearing on Tuesday night, a select board hearing that will be broadcasting. They're going to open public comment again. There's other things that are going on. There's a fundraising event on Saturday night. But right now, I want to bring up from the 13th Juror Podcast, what everyone's waiting for, this great guest that we have. She's got a Twitter. She's got a YouTube. She's got iTunes and all those other places. A great podcast. A lot of people know her from iTunes. 13th Juror Podcast. She just came out with episode number 5 of Crisis in Canton. And that's what we kicked it off tonight with the trailer from that series. She does a lot of true crime podcasting and as well YouTubing. And we all follow her. She breaks down things. She's really looks into things. and has a great podcast. So we're really happy to have her up on the show tonight. We're going to bring her up right now. Hey, Brandi, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Are you nervous? You're not nervous.
No, my dog was doing something. I was like, oh gosh, they're going to be able to hear her. But I think I've got, I threw her a treat, so I think she's good. Okay,
we love
good.
that. I got 3 dogs upstairs. Only one is mine. We do dog care business, so we love dogs.
Oh, okay.
They're always around
Okay.
us making noise on our show. So
Okay,
no
yeah,
worries
'cause
on that.
She might start whining again in a minute when her treat's gone. So it'll be all right. But thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, thank you for being here. Tell us about yourself. How did you get into podcasting and your 13th Juror?
So I've always been really into true crime stuff, and I've always listened to all the podcasts and watched all the shows and done all the things. It's always, life is, stranger than fiction. So I've always been really into it. I was on medical leave. I went through cancer and I couldn't work. I was on medical leave. And because when I'm stuck in the house and can't go anywhere, I needed somewhere to direct my energy. So I started making charts and stuff to, pulling all the court records and documents and making charts on, some of the complicated cases. And I would get in Facebook discussion groups and stuff. And I did one with the Murdaugh trial, and somebody in the Facebook discussion group was like, hey, could you post that on Twitter? And I was like, well, I don't know what, I don't have a Twitter, but okay. So I did it and it went viral. And then all of a sudden everything kind of blew up from that. So that's kind of how I started the YouTube and the podcast. I like taking the complicated cases and mapping everything out and making sense of it.
Yeah, you do that right on your Twitter. Even for folks like myself that don't have as much time to listen to everyone's podcast, I'm trying to just even keep up with my own. But I follow you on Twitter while I'm walking dogs all day. I read all the posts that you really do break it down.
Yeah, I think with stuff like this one, especially with the controversial ones, I want so much to focus, because when they're controversial like this, the emotions get a hold of people. And so I want so much to focus on the logistics of everything and the facts and the, okay, well, what do we know for a fact happened? And then when there's this much information too, when you layer it all on top of each other, so many things come out. But it's super time consuming. So not a lot of people, not many people that I've ever seen will take the time to do it, because it's super, I live here now. This chair right here is where I live. It takes up a lot of time, but I feel like the devil's in the details, and that's the best way to find everything.
That's what I love about this whole Karen Reed thing, actually, is so many stuff. My show has covered different issues. Most recently, cannabis workers getting screwed locally, and it felt like it was all on us. And with this case, it's so many other people who were kind of leading it. And for us, we can just kind of talk to everyone and spread the word and help support it, versus being, so depressed when things don't go our way, as, we're the only ones doing it. With this, do you feel like your podcast has really taken off? Has this Karen Reed thing really helped your podcast, or was it already kicking butt before this?
Well, my podcast, I have the jury duty episodes. So it's recaps of current trials and stuff. And I've been wanting to do a deep dive, and I was originally planning on doing one. An old friend of mine was murdered, and I was going to do one on her murderer, because I believe they got the wrong guy. I'm convinced. And I was going to do it on that. But I had talked to his wife, and they're in the process of doing an appeal. So they had asked me to hold off on it. So I was like, okay, well, I already had that kind of situation in my head. So I decided I found this one. People kept sending me this one. Leah Baker, this main one, the main reason that I haven't been involved in this at all. I think Leah tagged me on everything there is to tag on Twitter and asked me to get involved and start looking at it. So, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, everybody hates each other over this one. So this is perfect. I want to, if there's this much emotion behind it, then there's something that's going on. There's something to it. So I started, kind of looking around a little bit. And I always try to go to the two loudest in the room, which obviously is, at that time was Turtle Boy was, the loudest in the room on this side. And then, oh God, Wendy Murphy on this side. And, trying to kind of listen to, the two loudest in the room and what their positions are. And then after that, then I do all the research myself and try to form my own opinions. So the conspiracy in Canton part of the podcast is the first deep dive, and it has like taken off on the podcast side of it, but it's been good.
I can tell. You just released part 5 yesterday, right?
Yeah, it's all running together. Yeah, I stayed up all night Friday night and finished it and released it yesterday morning.
And what is part 5? Like, what's in part 5 that's new that you haven't covered so far?
Part 5 is the 10 minutes that Karen's car is in front of the house on Fairview Road. So I took all of the, I took the Commonwealth theory and, like layered it in, and then I took the defense's theory and I compared it to what we know. I have, it's basically all of the data. So, I took a look at, I call it like the anchor data, the things that you can't argue with. Like there's this text that came at this time, this call that came at this time. That's what I call the anchor data, because there's no arguing over it. But there are things that are, data that's open to interpretation, and that's where the experts come in. So I went over, the 2 forms of data that we're getting, which are the location and the Apple Health data, don't corroborate each other. Like one has to be wrong or, whatever. So I went over some of that and then basically laid out both theories and, to see what worked and what didn't. It was a lot.
Yes. And like with the Karen Reed, you call it conspiracy. Why do you call it a conspiracy? Why? How did you get there?
When I first started looking into it, I was hearing that, there's a conspiracy because there's this huge cover up. And then I was hearing that from one side. And then on the other side, I was hearing, well, this is a conspiracy from the defense because they're paying people to spread the word that, this is just, bad cops and all of this. So both sides were accusing the other side of a conspiracy. So I was like, okay, so whatever we're doing, there's a conspiracy. So let's, dig in and see which side is right. And I've taken some shit for that, for naming it that, because the people who are automatically like, like, oh, she did it, she's evil, whatever, are automatically like, you're already saying conspiracy. I'm like, well, if you would listen to it before you start running your trap, you would know why I love that. That's genius. Actually, I didn't think of that, but I do recall that Wendy Murphy was saying that over and over and over again, that there was a great conspiracy. And I was wondering if we're in on the conspiracy, where's my money? But I didn't. And I started asking people because she actually said the protesters that were showing up were paid. And we had a bunch of them on from Canton. And I just started asking them, did you get paid? No, we couldn't find anyone that got paid. Like, unless they're lying to us, nobody got paid. And they seem like just random citizens that care about this, case. Did you find any evidence of Wendy Murphy's conspiracy that people were being paid by the defense? No. And nothing. What about the others? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Well, I was going to say, I don't have a lot of, it's hard to take, I'm trying to be so careful with my words. It's hard for me to take much of what she said seriously, because I watched her on that Surviving the Survivor episode where, she was accusing Turtle Boy of that before Turtle Boy came on. And then when they brought him on, then all of a sudden she changed her story and wasn't saying that anymore. And it's kind of like, if you're going to run your mouth about it, and then the person shows up and you stop running your mouth about it and you keep changing the subject, that just, to me, kind of destroys credibility.
Absolutely. And we see a lot of that too with, well, actually, before we even get to Jennifer, I want to, what about the conspiracy on the other side? Like, what have you found that kind of backs up, the Turtle Boy side?
Yeah. I mean, like the thing about this is that there's so many things, like the changing of the police report without telling them. If they had not gotten that copy of the police report from the other county, you know, in the beginning, they never would have known that this was, you know, that anything was changed. And one of the main things that I thought is crazy that they changed on there is Brian Albert's phone number. Why would they change Brian Albert's phone number on there? And then, you know, the pictures, and then having, you know, the whole thing about, oh my gosh, I streamed when they were doing the hearing. And when Lally said, you know, Proctor doesn't have, you know, he doesn't have a close relationship with the McCabe's and the Alberts. And I was like blown away. I'm like, anybody with, you know, at least one working eyeball and a Google search can see, you know, or a Facebook search can see that he's close to them. And so it blew my mind that these were things that are so obvious, maybe not like obvious, like out in the open, but obvious as soon as you like find them. This is public information, which is, you know, and to deny it in open court was just the, you know, the hardest thing for me to really open, you know, to understand, I guess, because it blew my mind that knowing that everybody, and even the court laughed. It blew my mind that even knowing that, you know, everybody has seen this is now out here on the internet, they still denied it. And that just blew my mind.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of great comments here. Kyle wrote, "This woman's product is incredible."
Thank you.
Lauren writes, "Brandi, I absolutely love your podcast. You do such an amazing job." We're getting like lots of comments like that. I could just keep reading them.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's a lot of work, but I feel like it's important. You know, I think that a lot of people will automatically discount, you know, this is like, oh, conspiracy theorist, you know, whatever, and they'll discount it. So like, I've tried to be very fact-based in it and like pull everything from documents and from, you know, this is all from public record that anybody can look at. And all I tried to do is stay focused on all of that so that you can't really say it's a conspiracy theory anymore. I'm asking questions that are right here, you know, in front of us. So it's a lot, but it's worth it. It's good.
It is.
Getting
One
the word
thing
out there.
You broke on Twitter, I noticed, and you just mentioned it a second ago, is about the phone number change. Brian Albert's phone number change and reports. Tell us more about that. I want to hear more about that because that's weird to me. Like, where was the first report? Where was the second report? What was that all about?
The first report was dated. Let me see. I don't remember the exact dates. The first report it had a different date on it, and they had. Let me see if I can pull up my stuff real quick because Lord knows if I get the date wrong. But they had the number that was on there was changed on the second report. And then there was also an extra like little supplemental paragraph that was on there. Let me find my stuff. But when they changed it, you know, normally if there's like an addendum or something that's added to something, it'll have a different date. There was nothing that was changed. So it's made to look like this was the original report, but it wasn't. And his phone number was changed. And the phone number that was listed, I guess there's a couple different phone numbers that Brian Albert has, but that one was taken off there and it was changed to a different number. So to me, that's like, okay, not only did he not come out, but he also is now being removed from the police report. And it was just another one of those things that, you know, okay, if he didn't come out, all right, that doesn't make sense to me, especially if, you know, you're supposed to be like trained first responder type, you know, like and if you've got another Boston cop dead on your yard, you would come out. But okay, I can, even if I like put that part aside, that's for his number to be changed in the report was huge for me because I'm like, okay, why are they trying to distance him from it? What you don't do shady things unless you're hiding something. So what are they hiding? So that's what really got me on that one. I forgot to pull up the dates on it, but I don't have my stuff is
no, that's fine. We don't need exact dates. We just want, you know, kind of an idea more about it.
Yeah.
That is very strange.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that's one of those things that that's, if it wasn't something nefarious, then why would it not just be like, oh, this was a wrong number on this and this is why we're doing it? But there was nothing like that. It was changed, and then it was presented as if it had never been changed. And the defense never would have known if they didn't have that report from the first county.
Interesting. We're talking to Brandi from the 13th Juror Podcast. Conspiracy in Canton is the series that we're talking about tonight. She's just put out episode number 5. You can check it out on iTunes. Also, it's on YouTube too, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you recently had, let's blow that up on the screen a little bit. You had some posts against Jennifer Coffindaffer. We talk about her a lot on the show. She blocked us way back. She's blocked everybody at this point, but she's been giving you some crap. I don't get how she's trying to give you crap on what's that all about?
She started trolling me, and like, you know, we have some mutual friends, whatever, mutual people that we both work with. And so I was very respectful to her. She kept talking in absolutes, and that was driving me nuts because she was, saying like, she's definitely, guilty and she's evil and stuff like that. But she was getting basic facts wrong. And look, I get it. Like, this is a very complicated case. So there are going to be things that some of us can, like mess up on or slip up on, whatever. I get it. But if you're going to speak in absolutes, you have to have facts right. And she was getting them wrong. And so I was trying, I know that everybody goes after her. So I was trying to be nice. I was like, look, I really think you should read the documents more if you're going to, like, before you post stuff like this, I really think you should read the documents more. And then she started in on me. Then she was like, well, I read the documents, but at least I understand them. And then she said, people are constantly tagging me on her posts saying, like telling her she needs to listen to my podcast and stuff if she wants to know the facts. And so then she told somebody that she had never heard of me, which is not true because, like I said, we know mutual people. And then she told somebody that that my facts on the case are as rubbish as my credentials. And she said that, what else did she say? She said something about, she said she'd never heard of me, but she said that there are good podcasters out there, but Brandi's not one of them. So I was like, so what is it? Have you not heard of me, or have you listened to me and you think that I'm wrong? Like, you can't have it both ways. And what really sent me off, she blocked me and then is talking all this stuff about me. And, but what really set me off is she said something about how I'm wrong and I don't have any understandings or credentials or whatever. And she said something about, I'm only doing this because Turtle Boy is my prophetic leader or something like that. That sent me over the edge because it was like one of those things like, so not only are you discrediting me, but you're saying that I don't have a mind of my own, and you're letting your personal feelings about Turtle Boy affect how you are speaking to 70,000 people about me and my credibility. And that just sent me, like, because there's one thing that matters to me in this, it's my credibility. Like, I fact check and I spend so much time, looking into this stuff. And if something is an opinion, I'll say it's an opinion. If it's a question, I'll say if it's a question. But if it's a fact, I check the facts. And that made me so angry that she called, she just made me out to be like a mindless minion, and I cussed her out. It's the first and only time I've ever cussed anybody out on Twitter, and then she hid it, but then it still got shared. It was like 30,000 views or something when I, like, within a couple days, because she hid it, but everybody saw it before she hid it and shared it and stuff. But she's the only person I've ever lost my cool with, though. But to discredit me when she doesn't even know what I've done is BS. So my prophetic leader, she needs to look up what prophetic means, honestly, because
there's comments on that. Alyssa says, you prophetic leader, bless her heart. And another one says, Brandi is a leader, hardly a follower. That was from White Paint on YouTube.
Yeah. So, thank you. Yeah. I like, and that's the thing is, like, I haven't, and I've talked to Turtle Boy, and but he knows, like, I have listened to some of his, like, stuff here, and like some of his recent stuff, I did watch the framed video when I was first starting to like research everything, because I was like I said, I wanted to hear the two loudest voices in the room. I watched his framed video, but I haven't seen any of his other stuff. I haven't read his blogs. I haven't done any of this stuff. So there are some things that I found that he's like, oh yeah, I found this. And then he'll send me the thing on it or whatever. But I specifically haven't, because I wanted to come to my own conclusions without, my opinions being skewed by somebody else's reporting. So it's nothing against anybody else's reporting or what they do, but I wanted to come to everything myself before I found out who thinks what about it. So to discredit me and say that I'm just repeating, my prophetic leaders stuff, it just pissed me off.
Yeah. I like how you talked about her certainty. Like, she's always so certain, and her evidence is really shaky. Like, a lot of times, or not like, or totally not accurate at all. I mean, it's just
yeah. And that's the thing, is like, if you're going to speak in absolutes, then you should be absolute in your facts, and she's not. And that's what frustrates me. And so, and that's one of the things too, that I told her. I was like, regardless of what you think or what credentials you had, back in the day, or who, you're talking to behind the scenes, whatever, regardless of any of that, Karen Read she has the presumption of innocence. You are telling 70,000 people, you are trying to like rally the mob and tell 70,000 people that she's evil and that she did this on purpose, and that, she's like, you are convicting her before she has even gone to court. And if nothing else, if absolutely nothing else in this case, if you don't have your mind made up either way, whatever, fine, cool. But if nothing else, there is reasonable doubt here that we've seen. So you cannot go, it is irresponsible, and I don't give a shit what credentials you have or had or whatever. It is irresponsible to go on there to 70,000 people and tell them she's evil and she did this, when there's obviously doubt and she has the presumption of innocence. And I think it's bullshit.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. 70,000 people, because they often call us like Kevin and Coffin Daffy, or I call it Coffin Daffy, but Coffin Daffer and Wendy Murphy. They all call us the mob, but they're actually the ones, the mob. She's got 70,000 people or whatever on Twitter, and they act like, it's so funny because they said that Aiden was paid and that we were all paid and all this other crap, and that we were spokespeople for the defense. Aiden was the spokesperson for the defense, and that you're following Aiden, I'm following Aiden, and all this other crap, right? But they're the ones who we find out are coordinating with the DA. Like, we found out this week through Aiden that they've actually been coordinating, a lot of them, not just Coffin Daffer, but we know now Coffin Daffer too. It's just like everything they accuse us of, it turns out that's exactly what they are. Isn't that true?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's what's so infuriating about it, because to try to belittle, not just me, but like basically anybody who disagrees with her, to try to belittle everybody, and, just brush them off like, oh, you don't matter because you're just doing this when you're the one doing it. It's so infuriating. And I even told her when I accidentally cussed her out, I even told her, I was like, you have an agenda, and I know it, like everybody else does it. You have an agenda, and it has nothing to do with, the truth or victim advocacy. So it, like, she just wants to get on TV, and, I'm not, she wants to be like the insider on it, and she wants to, do her thing, but I don't like it.
And I noticed she makes a lot of money from this too. She was lamenting that some defense teams only spend $25,000 per special witness, expert witness, and that's what she does. So she's like, her minimum gig is 25 grand, and that's like cheap. Like, that's not like, she doesn't even want that. She's looking for more money than that. So she's getting paid quite well with the expert witness business that she's advertising to her 70,000 people, I would guess too, right?
Yeah. But I mean, but here's the thing about that too. You can't be an expert at everything, honey. At some point you got to sit down. And even like something that she posted about, not believing that there were cinder blocks on the beach for the Natalie Holloway thing, then Matt McCullen posted a picture right after that. Lo and behold, on the fish huts, there's cinder blocks. So it's like, she thinks that she's an expert in everything. And that's what drives me crazy. When she went on the show with, who is she on there with? I think Vinnie Politan, maybe. And she was talking about how she's a cell phone expert. So she knows that this Google search was, whatever. It was one of those things that frustrated me so bad, because you are not an expert at this anymore. Like and I use this when I was talking about this on my show. I use this as my example. My dad was, like, God bless him. He was an incredible, he's incredible working at cars. He could work on, he could build a car from the ground up. He was very talented at it. But if you took him a Tesla and told him, hey, fix this, radio thing, he's not going to know what the hell's doing, because it's a different type of technology. You can be an expert in cell phones 20 years ago. That doesn't mean that you're going to be an expert now. You don't get to still give your opinion on things when it's a different technology. It's different, reports. It's, different software. Like you don't get to use credentials from back in the day to give opinions on things that are no longer, related to the things that you knew back then. But Absolutely. She does it anyway.
Yeah. Someone just said they introduced her as a cell data expert, but that is even listed on our company website. So
yeah. She has a cell phone and she uses it. So she's an expert now.
Right. She's an expert. Like, I'm an expert. I produce a show, so I must be an expert too. I get tech skills.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. I don't know how I
don't
do
either.
this show.
I don't either. I have to, like, every time something goes wrong, I just unplug it and plug it back in and hope for the best. So
that's it. That's the key. That's my tech skill. Unplug. I love that. That's exactly what I do. So we're talking to Brandi Churchwell. She's got her podcast, 13th Juror Podcast, Crisis in Canton, episode 5 just came out. People should definitely check that out on iTunes right now. I'm sure people have questions too. If you want to ask questions in the chat for Brandi, this would be a good time to do so. I also wanted to ask some other things too. Like, Turtle Boy has recently been arrested. Mm-hmm. I mean, this was a week ago. Now he's got a fundraiser going. He's raising a lot of money already. Like, within even the first 24 hours, I think it was like 50 grand. I don't even know how much it is now, but he's raised a lot of money. He's got a great lawyer. He's going to be in court this week, it looks like. There's so much happening here this week. What do you think about all of that's happened just around him and the fact that they charged him? I've never seen anything like this in my life. Have you, following all these different court cases, have you seen anything that rivals this kind of situation?
I haven't. I haven't seen. I haven't. But I can kind of see where people have. First of all, it is nuts that he was like that much money was raised in such a short time for his defense. But I think that there are so many people who do, support him and hang on to everything he says, because he did, there's a lot of us wouldn't know anything about this if it wasn't for Turtle Boy. And I think that he has, like I've said it before, like I respect, a lot of the stuff that he's dug up, and a lot of the, especially the stuff on the connections and, stuff like that between everybody. And I know that, because he is, like I said, the loudest voice in the room, he does get the, love him or hate him, he does get the word out there that there's something happening, and that, and I think that people really appreciate that about him. So it was crazy seeing how much was raised so fast, but I haven't seen anything like that before. No.
Yeah, I mean, especially knowing Turtle Boy and his history, it's, he's definitely controversial. He's gone after a lot of people, made a lot of enemies, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's also, like, for a lot of us, like for me, I was, someone that was always kind of against him, on the other side of him locally, because, some of the people politically were my friends and stuff, and they always wanted me to go after Turtle Boy. And a lot of times I started watching his news stories, his news coverage, especially about the bigger stories, like the state police, even before this, which a story called Troopergate, the Falco canine story. I mean, there was many stories that he's actually broken like this, not as big as Karen Reed, but he's been on the money, way ahead of the curve. Some of those stories turned into national stories, and it just, like, he's done this. That's kind of why I feel like I have trust in him on the big stories, because he's been right. Like Troopergate was a correct story. He absolutely like broke that way open. It went everywhere. It even went to other police departments. It was basically overtime fraud and a political corruption scandal within the state police. And the feds came in and put people in jail from the state police. So that was all Turtle Boy, and even other stories. There's been so many. Like I'm just generalizing. This guy's done it over and over and over again. He's pissed off a lot of people too, over and over and over again too. So it's kind of, for me, I feel like some comfort in knowing that like this isn't just some guy that doesn't know what he's doing. He does know what he's doing. So
yeah. And, he has pissed off a lot of people, and like he does have, because that is one of the first things that people say as soon as, they disagree with me. It's, anybody who, and I've noticed they do this too. I don't know, Olivia, if y'all follow her on Twitter too, she's always,
Olivia Nile?
Yeah, she's great with, like the documents and the receipts and stuff like that. And like, I always have this thing, like, I don't tweet without receipts. Like I won't tweet anything unless I can, like back it up with why I think that, or, show where it is or whatever. And that's one of the things that I've noticed, like they do it to me, they do it to her, they do it to basically anybody who has, come to any of these, they ask any of these questions or does anything. That's the first thing they do is, like some of the enemies that he's made and some of the people that, dislike him. That's the first thing that they'll do is, be like, oh, you're, you and Turtle Boy, you're, this and this and this. And it's, everything goes back to him. And so and look, I get it. Like he has like a very abrasive style. It's how, it's just who he is. It's how he does things. But one of the things about doing this podcast was I wanted to, I have a different audience than he does. Like we're reaching different people, and I have a very different style than he does. So I'm hoping that, okay, if you don't like him, okay, fine, whatever. Like not everybody has to hold hands and like each other. But if you don't like him, at least listen to, this. And like, this is, this is facts. This is, regardless of your personal opinions on somebody else, like this is still factual information. These are still questions. These are still things that we need to look at, because let's just say, even if she did it, let's say she's drunk, accidental, whatever. Let's say, even if she did it, so many things have been done shady in this situation that they still need to be brought to light. These are things that still need to be asked. We still need to know why they're changing reports and why, they're having a close family friend looking into this, and why, like there's still so many things that need to be questioned and brought to light and, and talked about. So it drives me nuts that there is that sense of, personal vendetta against, him that keeps some people from actually taking a look at factual evidence and, having an open mind about it. But so I know that he's his style and my style are very different, but I'm hoping that, that just means we'll reach more people and, and get the questions out there to more people. So we'll see.
I think that's working. I think it's either way, it's all working, because there's so many shows now talking about it and getting into it. They may not be the experts that you and Aiden are, but there's I was just watching, just stumbled on some random shows I've never seen before, and they're talking about the case. It's very interesting to see it kind of, especially on YouTube. I'm noticing it's really starting to spread out there now, the whole story.
Yeah. I think with him getting arrested too, it had that. I think I can't remember because I'm in the Facebook group too. There's a couple of Facebook groups that I'm in for the Karen Reed stuff. And one of them, I think it had like 2,000 people join like within the first, I don't know. These are not actual statistics. So I'm
no,
guessing
it did. Yeah.
It was
there's
like
a couple
crazy.
Different Facebook groups in the main Turtle Boy one, for justice for John O'Keefe and Karen Reed. That got like 2,000 that day, like a new people. So, and it had kind of plateaued too. So like, that was good. It was, and we felt that like we did a show that night, and it like without Turtle Boy, without like having any preparation, even knowing we're going to do a show that night, we didn't, promote it like we usually do. And we got like a record amount of listeners that night too, like when he got arrested. So like we could feel it. And I think everyone's feeling it now. I think it has backfired. Do you think it, like they've talked about they may try him on other courts and have him arrested again in other jurisdictions. Do you think they're going to continue with that, or it's going to backfire? Like, what do you think they're thinking right now, the DA?
I don't know. It's hard to say because Lord knows what a normal DA is thinking is not what's happening in Canton. So it's hard to say. But part of me is like, I always try to like look at everything from both sides. And so part of me is like, okay, well, did they do this so that they can confiscate his stuff and see, who his sources are, or like who he's talking to, or what he knows, or, did they, Olivia Lambeau on X is fantastic. She's all about the documents. But so there's that part of me that's like, okay, are they doing this, and then they're going to drop it? Or is this like, he's been so vocal about things for so long that, he's like, they're wanting to push this as far as they can and try to, get him into as much deep stuff as he can with it. So I don't know. It's hard to know their motives because it's looking at their previous behavior from everything. It's kind of hard to know what their motives are with anything that they're doing.
Yeah. It's who knows what they're thinking. It's kind of the wild.
So, okay. Dino Kelly right here.
Yes.
This is funny. So Dino Kelly he's a friend of mine. Actually on your show, Sean on the Gulf brought up Dean O'Kelly because he was the lead investigator in the widower trial, the Thomas Randolph trial. And Sean on the Gulf, when he was talking about how he saw when Dean O'Kelly got on the stand, and he said something to you about how, like he was saying when everybody got there, like they, got everybody there and they were talking about like, this is what you're doing, this is what we're doing. And like they had the scene about how they were going to go through and investigate things. And Sean on the Gulf had said something like, none of that was done. That's how it should be done. None of it was done. But that's actually Dean O'Kelly. That's the one he was talking about. That he saw.
So what was he? Was he a police officer or Fed? What was he?
Dean?
Yeah.
He's the lead investigator in the Thomas Randolph.
I think we froze. Did Brandi freeze? If you're in the comments watching, let me know if Brandi froze, or was it me? Freeze? No, you're back. Okay. I think your audio. You might want to turn your video off for a second just to see.
Let's see.
Yes, she did. People are noticing it too. So yeah, let's turn off your. You can usually have to the right on the right of the screen, right top.
Right top. What am I turning off?
I would try to turn off the video for a second. Just go with audio. There you go. Maybe we can turn it back on too. Yeah, yes, it does.
Okay.
So what were we saying?
Dean. He was the lead investigator. So it was that, but that was on one of your shows. And when he said that, I was thinking like, because they had such a big with everybody there, they had the roles of who was going to do what, and they actually investigated. God forbid you investigate when you're supposed to be an investigator. But that was one of the things that stood out to me too, is that when the police got there, nobody investigated anything. Like if there's a dead cop in the yard, why would you not go inside the house? So that was one of the things that really stood out to me. And Sean on the Gulf had mentioned it too, but I guess a lot of people have, because that's one of the things that a lot of people question. But
now we got a comment that says we need Brandi's face. So let's try to see if the video works again. Sometimes it will come back. Okay. See, I think it's working. Let's try that.
Okay.
If not, we'll turn it off again.
Okay.
It looks like you're frozen again. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, that's too bad. Someone said as soon as we mentioned the feds, you froze.
Ooh, that's a whole nother conspiracy then.
So, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up that we haven't talked about tonight that you wanted to kind of present to the audience?
One of the big things is like this past episode that I did, the one that I did Friday, or released it Saturday, I guess. There are some Well, if you go to, you're sharing your screen. If you go to my website, there's some charts and stuff that are on there that help with the visualization of all the stuff that I'm talking about, because it's really hard to, in podcast form to, go through all of the data and all of the things and try to explain it. So I made some charts and put them on the 13th Juror podcast.com that have some of the different, people in there, but also some of the different time frames of when things are happening and how things could happen. And when you put it all together like that, it really does make a big difference. This past episode, one of the main things that stood out to me was if, and one of the things I looked at too is, studies on Apple data, like the step data and how, accurate it is. And the study that I found said it was pretty accurate as far as the steps, but not necessarily the distance. And then I, pulled some testimony from a previous trial of, somebody testifying about step data and its accuracy and that type of thing. But the step data and the GPS data that they're giving us are wrong. But one of the biggest things is, or not wrong, they can't both be right, is what I should say. But one of the biggest things is that, and I tweeted it too, but that time frame that they're giving us, where they're saying that the GPS has her pulling up and parking at, whatever it was, 12:24. And she, that's when the car comes to a stop at 12:24 at the edge of the property. And then she makes impact with him at 12:25. When you put in all of the rest of the stuff that she has in that, there's no possible way that that's what happened, because it goes against first of all, that it's 56 seconds from the time they say she parks to the time that she has impact with him. But on top of that, that would mean that every single statement was wrong. All of the statements that said that, her car stopped and then after a while it moved forward, all of those would be wrong, because they're saying that the car didn't stop, that it didn't stop until it got to the edge of the property. And so all of those statements would be wrong. The car behind her with Ryan Nagel and the other two people, and then Julie Nagel is, standing out at the truck, whatever, standing out there talking to them. She would have had to do that all with a car full of, kids right behind her. And I say kids because I'm old. I know they're like, 20s or something, whatever. But, she would have had to have done all of this and hit them with three kids in the car, another one standing right outside, and none of them saw anything. And Ryan Nagel said that when he pulled off, there was no damage to his car, and he didn't see anybody inside of the car other than her, and the interior light was on. So the timeline that they're giving us based on their data is completely wrong, or impossible, I should say. And one of the other things that really stood out to me, I've had a lot of people, especially on Twitter saying, like, oh, well, this is, car data. Are you saying that the car data is wrong too? This isn't the car data. This is an opinion based on car data, and it says, and other facts. So I get that, like, they're saying this is data, but this isn't data. This is a crash reconstructionist opinion based on data and other factors, but they don't tell us what those other factors are. So it's not the same thing. That's not, that's still open for interpretation, because this is an interpretation.
Absolutely. We're going to try to take some phone calls now. If anyone wants to call in, we're putting this number on the screen right now, 978-560-3155. If you have a question for Brandi Churchwell on conspiracy in Canton, or even any of the other cases, or you just want to say thank you, or you might want to make a comment about the show, 978-560-3155. And we're trying to fix something too with the phone lines tonight. People have noted that when we get too many phone calls, the beeping is very annoying. I think we figured out how to turn that off. So I want to test that out tonight. Give us a call right now if you're listening. I'm going to put it right on the screen. 978-560-3155. If you want to call in and you have a question for Brandi or a comment on the show tonight. I guess, you know what else I want to mention too is that we're doing a fundraiser like we always do, 25% to Free Karen Reed, the fund for her defense, as well as free Aiden from Turtle Boy, that defense fund, 25% each and 50% to our show. We have had some donations tonight. I want to thank them for donating. Tracy sent $50. She made a comment. We'll read Tracy's comment in a second. We'll get back to that. We got a phone call. Let's get the oh wow, and it worked. It worked on the first. You know what, actually, listener, right now you have us going in the background. Turn off your radio so we can let you on the show. I know you can hear us. Turn it off. All right, let's get this listener on the line. All right, you're on the show live. What do you got for us?
Hey, I'm a huge fan of Brandi. I live actually right around the corner from where this is going on. It's absolutely madness. The conspiracy in Canton is a perfect title for what's actually happening. Thanks for giving her a platform. It's just, around here is a small town madness. I don't know.
Would you not be afraid to say your name?
I can give my Twitter handle.
Okay. Yeah. What's your Twitter handle?
Lizzie Bones. Yeah.
What is it?
Lizzie Bones on Twitter.
Lizzie Bones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I've had a lot of locals. Yeah, I've had a lot of locals reach out that have said, that because a lot of locals were actually kind of very weary about me in the beginning, because they were like, all right, who is this girl from down south, thinking she's going to come in here and know anything. So I had, but in the beginning, I had a lot of locals that were pretty rough on me, but I appreciate that, because I know that, to live in the area, I know that, it's obviously much more, personal to y'all. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, honestly, I have to be honest. Like I heard of you like through the Murdaugh trial. Like I'm a true crime fan, all that. So when you started to cover this, I was like, oh my God, like thank God, thankfully somebody with like an actual brain in their head is coming, to save us. But yeah, I don't know. It's really because this is crazy. The facts are the facts, like you said. You've laid them out. I've listened to all the episodes that you've done, and that's the thing. The facts are the facts. And what the bottom line is, if she did it by accident, fine, whatever. But they screwed up so many things that it didn't, like, it leaves you to question. It's like, really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the reports, everything. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah, because if there wasn't anything to cover up, then why is there all the shadiness? So that's one of my big things too. Yeah.
It's like, really, like, even if like it's just like, okay, well, say she did that, but it's like it doesn't make any sense. You all suck at your jobs then, and we're at least gonna point that out, because it's terrible, and anybody else to fall in here, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know. It's bad.
Lizzie Bones, do you live in Canton right now?
I actually live like 5 minutes out.
Outside.
So Canton is a
one town away.
Yeah, it's like a weird. Yeah, it's like a weird spot where like it intersects between like a few towns. But yeah, I got in my car. It'd be done like 5 minutes. Yeah.
Awesome, because I was going to ask you about the town referendum coming up. They got the town meeting that they just gathered signatures for. Yep. Have you been following all the hearings too?
Yeah, so it's funny because you actually posted the town meeting, and I watched it on your feed, and I was like, which I thought was pretty interesting. The whole thing is like, so I don't live technically in Canton, but like when I go out to drink or eat, it's in Canton. Yep. Exactly. It's a waterfall, or it's with McCarthy's, like all of the places, like, which is like really creepy. So like, I don't know, it's just weird to like go into those places and be like, wait a minute, like, I don't know, just knowing what happened. Weird.
Thank you so much for calling in tonight, Lizzie Bone. Do you have any final comments or thoughts before we move on?
No, man. I just want to thank you for doing what you do, and Brandi as well. Keep it going, because without you guys, we may not have the truth. So let's go.
Thank you so much. We're the Young Jurks. We got a phone line tonight. People can call in 978-560-3155. We have Lizzie. I mean, we just had Lizzie on the phone. We're with Brandi Church. She's got the 13th Juror Podcast. 5th episode just came out. Conspiracy in Canton, it's called. Definitely check it out if you haven't. We're getting more people are sending money, which I really appreciate tonight. The donations. I think both the cause, for Aiden, as well as Free Karen Reed, but also the quality of the guests tonight. People really like the show. So I really want to thank Brandi Churchwell for being here tonight. Brandi, are you still there?
Thank you. Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Yeah, I noticed we did lose you on the video. We had you like frozen for a little bit. Now it's gone, which is fine. As long as we have your audio, that's the most important thing here.
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Yes. And you wouldn't believe all the stuff that happens on the show sometimes. Sometimes my system shuts down. Sometimes my computer, and sometimes it's my actual studio equipment. It's like anything could go wrong when we're live. So.
I know how that goes.
Yeah. Which makes it kind of fun if you just like relax. Like if you get freaked out, I used to get so mad. Like way back in the day, I used to yell at my producers, but now I'm the producer, so I'm gonna yell at myself. I mean, that's
I just yell at my dog. No, I'm just joking. I don't. She's
my dog yell at me. That's right. They yell at me. So I'm really happy to have you here tonight. Can you give kind of a rundown on how people can follow you, subscribe to you, and all of that, Brandi?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter. And even though that's where I battled it out with Coffin Daffer, I haven't been banned from Twitter yet. So my Twitter handle is @Brandi in Church, and then I have my YouTube is under my name, under Brandi Churchwell. During the week, I stream trials and stuff during the day. And then, so the podcast has been something that I've been working on in the evenings and weekends, and which means I don't sleep anymore. But the podcast, I do have the episodes available on the YouTube, but they are also on like Apple, iTunes and Spotify and pretty much everywhere else. And the way that it works too, if y'all do listen and you like it, if you could give me, like reviews on there and then share it with people, that's the best way to get it around. I've only had 2 bad reviews, and I'm pretty sure one of them was Coffin Daffer, because somebody pointed this out to me on Twitter, but the way that it was worded was it was like hum, and it was like, but it was HMM period. And that's exactly what she did in her response to me too on something. And I was like, oh, and then she complained about it being a conspiracy. So I think one of them might have been her actually, but I've only had 2 bad ones, and they were both, like mad about me saying that there's, that there's possibly a conspiracy. But other than that, the reviews have been great. So, but those help, and it's on pretty much anywhere you get podcasts.
I'm going to go give you a review tonight on Spotify and Apple iTunes. I think everyone should. Also give us reviews too on the iTunes and Spotify. Really appreciate those. And even the negative ones help us. I always love the trolls. They help us in every way. We should pay them, actually. We have a 617. We have a Massachusetts. This is my area code. Well, my old area code. I'm still in Massachusetts. We have like a couple area codes, but 617 is like the Boston old school area code. Who's on the phone right now from 617 area code?
I am.
Oh no, is it a crank call? Who is this?
This is Kathy.
Oh, Kathy, you sound fine now. Kathy, what do you have for us tonight?
Oh, okay. I just have a couple of questions. First, I want to tell you, I've been following you for a couple of weeks now. I've followed Aiden since April.
I think I know pretty much. I'm following quite a few people now. So I think I have quite a few of the facts down, but I do have some legal questions. My first one is, because of all the inconsistencies, the discrepancies on the state's part, is there any grounds for prosecutorial misconduct or even perjury? I would think that Lally committed perjury. He lied to the judge a few times. Can you help me out on that?
Brandi, do you want to respond to that first?
Well, I will say I'm not a lawyer, but I do know that there were a few times that I thought, like, man, this would have to be, this would have to be one of those situations. One of the things is too, and I mentioned this one in the episode 5, when Lally said, when the juror asked at the grand jury had asked Brian Albert about the cameras, and Lally, like interjected himself and said, something about like, oh, well, did your wife give you cameras for whatever? So that right there was proof, and that's not on any statement anywhere. So that right there is proof that they are withholding information that didn't go to the defense. And that is exactly what prosecutorial misconduct is. So I think that it could be definitely a possibility that it could be something that they should do, but will they do it? No, they're all scratching each other's backs. So I don't think that, unfortunately, I don't see it happening, but I think it should.
Brandi, this is the first time I've heard you. You're very interesting. I really like how you present yourself, how you're very much the facts. I'm going to be following you now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I also wanted to ask, as far as Proctor is concerned, the state trooper.
Yes.
He seems to have lied and changed a lot of dates, a lot of reports. I can't get over the fact that he didn't take notes. He didn't record any of his interviews. I just don't get it. And how can he get away with this? And does it, because he works for Morrissey, the DA, does this put Morrissey in deep shit? In trouble? What do you think about the rumor that has been around since April, actually, and I heard it before April, that the FBI was investigating the DA's office? Have you heard anything about that?
I have heard that. I don't, I know that the FBI has talked to, of course, we know that they talked to like Lucky, the plow driver, and, stuff like that. I have heard that, but since I don't have any, I don't have enough to go. I've heard a few things actually that are going to be coming up in one of my episodes about some of the behind the scenes stuff that I've been getting a lot of information about, but I'm not positive. But as far as Proctor, I have started looking into some of his previous cases too, to compare some of that stuff. And I have not, like, the number of mistakes that they call it, mistakes that he's made in these documents. From the other ones that I have been able to find, I have not been able to find anything with a bunch of spelling mistakes, with a bunch of timing mistakes.
I understand.
Yeah, so it's
to me.
To have run, I think that's too many mistakes for it to be.
Yeah. I noticed that as well. He's always done reports, from what I've heard, from what I've read. He's always been right on target with his reports, and he's had no problem. And I don't know, I can't remember. I don't know if he was involved in the Sandra Birchmore, whatever her name is. There was a case in, I believe it was Stoughton. And a lot of the same people that are now involved in this case were involved then, and that didn't end well. That's why I think, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but I do think the FBI has been, it wouldn't surprise me if they were investigating since then.
It would not surprise me if it was related to that Sandra Birchmore too. If it started there and it's continued to this one, they both happen.
What's her name again?
It's both, cops. One of the things that with Morrissey and Proctor and all of these other folks, I think the best way to see them held accountable is we got to win these cases. Like Aiden's got to win his case. Karen Reed has to win her case. If that happens,
well, you know what?
Then those people should be shaken. Like if they win their cases.
Yeah.
I think they're already shaken myself.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, and I know that this is in the minority, but I don't see Karen's case going to trial.
Exactly.
I think it will. I don't think it is. I think once, especially this week when all the inconsistencies in Turtle Boy's case come up, and they will.
Right.
What he's being charged with, I think the courts are going to have to see that there's a lot of, I hate to use the word conspiracy, but I think that's what it is. There's a lot of the inconsistencies. I can't see how they can go forward with Karen's case knowing about those lies, to put a blank, the lies and the sneakiness. I don't know how they can go forward with Karen's case. I think
it almost feels like they
yeah,
and it almost seems like I feel like they ended up overcharging in hopes to plead down and not have it go to trial. But that's just a theory that's not based on anything other than me speculating. But it seems like to have it charged the way it is, that would be my guess as to maybe why, hoping that if they overcharge her, then she'll plea down to stay out of the trial system. But I don't think that they anticipated the amount of support and press and the magnifying glass that's on them now. I don't think that was something that they really anticipated.
And you know what? That is very definitely thanks to Turtle Boy.
Absolutely.
If it weren't for him, I wouldn't know about this case. And I'm a true crime fanatic. If it weren't for him, a lot of people wouldn't know about this. So for him to go to court this week, I think it's going to turn into a major thing, and it's going to have an effect on Karen's case. At least I hope it does, because I don't think she should have even gone to court in the first place. She shouldn't have been charged in the first place.
Yeah.
But I'm taking up a lot of your time, and I'm sorry. So I will. You have a new follower. Brandi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Kathy.
And thank you. Okay. Bye-bye, Mike.
I know. That was great. Local call. I love it. Kathy, first I thought she was trolling me. It's so funny how I'm always waiting because you never know. Like it's especially the local calls. I got a lot of trolls now.
Oh, yeah.
And we have no screening. It's fun. It's fun to get the calls. I love that. What were you going to say, Brandi?
I get the trolls coming in now too. Sometimes like I guess it's part of it, but it's all the same ones. And then they'll go make new Twitter accounts and, it's all the same. But then you look at it and it's like, oh, this account was created October of 2023 and, they have 0 followers and their reply section is nothing but, anti Karen Reed and anti Turtle Boy. Those are the ones that always seem to find me now on Twitter.
Right. They're just wasting our time. There's a difference between them and Jennifer. Jennifer has, 60, 70,000 followers. That's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, the Glare. Hi. Hello.
I know the Glare is watching. That's awesome. I like him. He's funny. He's got a good show too.
Yeah.
Another YouTuber. There's so many good YouTube shows that we've discovered because of Turtle Boy in this case and some awful people too, like we've talked about. Something tonight.
Yeah. I think that this has been one of those things that a lot of people are very, very set on their side. So minds are made up and they get very emotional about it. And so I think that needs to bring out some of the troll stuff, like when people are so convinced and they don't want to hear anything else.
So we have another caller, but you have your computer on in the background. Please turn down your computer so we can bring you up, please. All right. You're on the show. What's your name? Who's calling?
How are you?
Good. 617. Another
Kevin McMichaels. How are you?
Kevin, how you doing?
I'm good. Did you donate to Black Lives Matter?
Oh, you're that guy. Oh, God.
I'm just asking.
Oh, man. We're not. We're going to mark Kevin's phone number. Kevin's like the local, like, neo-Nazi guy. Like, yeah, I do support Black Lives Matter. I know, but we're not getting into that tonight, Kevin. We got new trolls coming out. Like, this guy, he's just like a random Twitter guy. And now he's, oh, my God, dude. You need help, Kevin. Really?
We're just talking about getting trolled.
Oh, I got Notorious Vog. Me and Notorious Vog are gonna have some fun on this one. We got the phone number up. Is that him again? Is that? Of course it is. We may have to turn the phone number off now because I don't want to deal with Kevin calling in over and over and over and over again. But if anyone else wants to call, 978-560-3155. If you can get through while Kevin's calling.
Anyone other than Kevin.
It's so funny. It's so funny how people get so worked up. I just want to make sure if that's the same number. You know what? Let's take this one. It might not be because I didn't actually write it down. Let's see. Let's see if this is Kevin again. Kevin, is this you again?
No.
Oh, it's someone else. It's what?
It is. My name is Amy.
Amy. So another 617 number, and you saved the day. Thank you so much.
Yes. So, that was actually quite funny. So, Brandi, first time I've listened to you. So, it's been great. Mike, I've been following you for a couple weeks now. Much like the last caller, I didn't realize this was happening until Turtle Boy started reporting on this as well. So there's one thing there's a lot of things that really bother me about this. And I just know if anyone else had some insight. Originally, all the kids were supposed to sleep at the house that night and they didn't. So, Ryan Nagel shows up to pick up his sister. His sister says, I'm going to sleep over. And Jen drives them home. Jen McCabe drives them home a few hours later. Has anyone read anything or seen anything as to why they didn't stay? I do feel like it was like, let's get everyone out of the house. Let's try to protect the kids. Again, the misspelling in the police reports, as Brandi stated, things like that. So I didn't know if anyone had any insight.
That's something that's bothered me too, because for her to call him, to call the brother and tell him, hey, come get, like this is when it's starting to snow. The biggest, snowstorm is on the way. And, and then to tell him, oh, you know what, never mind. I'm just going to hold tight right here. That was kind of strange to me, but also I noticed when I put all of the statements together, the people leaving, none of that stuff makes sense, because there are some statements that, everybody was out of the house by 1:00. And then Jen McCabe said in one of hers that she left at 1:30. And then she said, and we drove, like she said in one statement, she said we went home. And one, she said we drove one person home. And then in the other one, she said we drove two friends home. So that has been inconsistent. Also, even her, she left at 1:30 because we know she didn't leave until 1:47. And then Ryan Higgins leaving at, who goes to do clerical work at the police department at 1:30 a.m. after being at the bar with everybody, during again, like this is this snowstorm that's coming in. So that didn't make sense to me either. So everything about people being there and leaving is really weird to me.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I did just read recently, so I probably should have this up. So again, I'm sure I'll be corrected. Wasn't there something mentioned about Sarah Levinson and Brian Albert and Jen McCabe saying, we are going to, at the grand jury testimony, we told her we'd say she wasn't there. Does anyone else remember that? I'll have to go back through the paperwork, that I've seen. So I just didn't know if anyone else sort of remembered reading that or hearing that or seeing it. I'm not into rumors. I didn't make that up. No. I really do believe I read that somewhere. I'm like, I don't want to start this whole rumor mill thing, but
I
No.
thought that that's what Brian Albert and Jen McCabe said to the grand jury. I don't know.
Yeah, there was I don't have it in front of me either, but I know that there was something in it because I think it was in like one of the little like footnotes on something that I read on one of the things.
Okay.
But I don't remember what file, but I remember something with that. And then because there were a few things that came out in the grand jury that, of course we can't get all of the grand jury information, but there's been things that have been referenced in the files. So, that's kind of where I try to like hang on to that as much as I can, like getting as much of that information as I can, because there's a lot of stuff that, came out during that we haven't got to hear yet. And it's not looking great for a lot of the people involved.
It's interesting. I'm looking forward. Yeah, I feel bad for the younger kids. I really do. I know, maybe other people don't. I do feel bad for them. They're victims of circumstance, and it's like, now what? Are their lives going to be ruined? And I'm anxiously awaiting to hear, that whole why did they go home? So that's something that's always bothered me, amongst many other things. Well, thank you very much for taking my call. And much like the last call, you have another follower. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Awesome. We've got some great calls tonight. It's been fun. You keep coming in. Do you want to take another one, Brandi?
Sure.
It's a 901 area number. I don't even know where that is. Who's calling in now?
Hey, this is Allie B from Tennessee.
Allie, how you doing?
Hi, Allie B.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm behind on this, but I am curious on the jury. Where do you think that they will select the jury from? Because I would think that the locals wouldn't want that. So do you think they're going to go outside of that town, or what are your thoughts?
I think that it's a possibility because of all of the, between the protesting and the signs and, the billboard, if it does end up getting to trial, which I know that there's kind of like, some people are split on if it will or not, but I think that if it does, there is a possibility that they might have to, and a lot of people don't pay attention to, what's going on around them. And I get that, but this has been, because there are so many protests and it is so, people are so vocal about it, then I think they might end up having to move but then again, I don't know, because they're not going to want to move they're going to want all the control they can over.
That's what I was going to say. I would think the other way, that they won't actually move it. In this case, like you would think they would for all those reasons, but because of the control, and also because this is already kind of a conservative area. If you look at it, it's an area where a lot of police live. So they have their contingent too. You know what I mean? Like if you know this area locally. So I think that, someone just posted, it could be Plymouth or Barnstable County, and that it could be, because those areas are also similar, but this is not Boston where you're going to have social, justice warriors. It's not that area. So I think that this, we had Brian on the show, who's an estate attorney. He doesn't do criminal defense, but he's like me. He knows the local area and how things run. And he also thinks that it's probably going to be the low information local person that's going to be on the jury, because someone who's smarter probably doesn't want to be on this jury for 2 weeks to a month and be possibly sequestered. So, and a lot of people do know about this at this point. So it's going to be interesting. It may not be the type of jury that we want for Karen Reed, unfortunately, but I think that she has a good chance still. Thank you so much for calling.
Awesome. All right, thanks all. Bye.
Allie B from Tennessee. That was interesting. We're getting calls from Thank you so much for being here tonight. Oh, we just ran off the hook. I can't even stop. I'm trying to turn it off, but let's take this one. Another one. 603. Who's on the phone right now?
This is Johnny. Good show tonight, Mike. Thanks for having Brandi on. Brandi, I'm a new subscriber about a few weeks ago to your pod. And
thank you.
Great. You do a great job. So anyway, there's something that bugs me, and you, Brandi mentioned it earlier, was about the closed circuit TV cameras on Brian Albert's house, and then how Lally had interjected himself into the question to the grand jury. And he said Brian said he got the as a Christmas gift from his wife. Well, this guy's a murder cop, so he probably was upgrading to a different one, or a better one, and some sort of Google one that was mentioned specifically. If he was a murder cop, he had other cameras that he was probably upgrading to, but Lally specifically was asked by the judge to produce the records from this Google camera, which he said wasn't in. I think they should have asked him, and I'm surprised that Jackson didn't jump on it, say, any camera that you had attached to your house during such and such a period of time, which would have precluded this one he said that he got as a Christmas gift. Because I'm sure, like I say, that he had cameras on his house prior to the Christmas gift.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the one that he has, I know that they had requested the, any account information for it, any startup information for it, and all of that. But I thought the same thing, because they were very specific about the Google Nest one, but they didn't subpoena, any kind of ring information associated to his name or his address or his, email address, to where you have to have everything kind of on there. But also, that's one of the things that I think, if with him not wanting to have his phone turned in, if he had a Ring camera that was on his phone, they're going to be able to see that. So if that, that's another thing, like if he's not wanting to turn that in, that maybe that's, part of it too, because if they do get his phone, then they'll be able to see if he had that app, with any of the other camera services before he got this one. Or if he had that one.
Surprised that he was Sneaky Lally was so specific as to the Google Nest. Well, maybe before that he had a Google something that wasn't a Google Nest. That's what I'm saying. That he was being specific on purpose in order to divert attention away from maybe this previous one that had been attached to his house.
Yeah. I think they should have. I get what you're saying. I agree. I think they should have requested any of them, because there's a chance. I feel like, how is he not going to have a camera? To me, it's not.
Yeah, every cop has cameras on their house.
Yeah. I agree.
So anyway, you do a great job. I'm enjoying your podcast. There's a new subscriber, and thanks, Mike, for having Brandi on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for calling, Johnny.
Thank you.
We're the Young Jurks who've taken a lot of calls tonight. We got another one. This is another stranger.
We asked you to let us know that you are not a voicemail system, so you need to press 1 to take the...
I don't know who that one is. Did you hear that one?
Yeah.
Now they're botting us. I don't know what they're doing. We've taken quite a few. We've taken Lizzie Bones, Kathy, Amy. I think there was a Kevin, Allie B from Tennessee, Johnny. And then there was that crazy dude who wants to talk about how racist he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we got quite a few calls in tonight. Yeah, we'll try this one again. We'll see if this one is.
Hello.
Hi, who's on the phone here?
Hey, this is Julie, aka Warrior Biatch on YouTube and everywhere else for that matter. How are you guys doing? I heard you were looking for calling. I'm teasing, of course. Brandi, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. You're so beautiful and you're so fun and you exude energy, and I laugh and laugh and laugh at your silly jokes, especially about the pandas and what was the last one you just said about the kangaroos?
Oh, no, kangaroos. That's your whole life is a lie. Yeah, kangaroos are not they're not cute and fluffy.
Yeah.
They look like they smoke Marlboro Lights and, or no menthol cigarettes and bench 220, I think is what I said. Like they look like they just got out of prison. Kangaroos that's a lie. Like that's a whole nother podcast, but yeah.
But I love your energy, and just you guys keep fighting. I mean, we can't give in to the threats and all the craziness that's going on in the world. So you fight the fights that you can and keep going. All right. Love you guys.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you so much for calling.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I had posted that on Twitter, the thing about the kangaroos. I saw a thing and they're terrifying. But yeah.
And we got another call. Who's on the phone? You're live on the show. Not for long. I don't know who that was. It's funny when there's no screening on this call. When you call our show, if we answer, you're live on the show, folks. That means you got to get your computers off. You got to be ready to talk to us. Who's on the phone right now?
How are you, John McDougal? How are you?
John, how you doing?
So good, Brandi. I love you. But do you know you're talking to somebody from Black Lives Matter who openly supports?
Oh man, that guy. Let's get his number now. Make sure he doesn't. What was his name? John. Poor John. Let's take a Florida. We'll take a Florida call. This is definitely not John. Who's on the phone now?
Hello.
Hi.
This is Jimmy. Hi.
Jimmy, what's up?
Was calling about Brandi. I'm not a hacker. I watched her conspiracy the other day and listened to it on the way to work. And you were talking about somewhere right there. There's they're trying to say all this happened in less than 10 minutes. There's 10 minutes there that's not really that's not right on their part, I guess. That she didn't have enough time to do everything they're saying.
Yeah, the 10 minutes where she's
did.
parked or that she's on Fairview, and then everything that they say that happens is within a 56-second time frame. Yeah. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
How about the dog? Right. I've listened to a couple of things from you and Turtle Boy, and don't none of that add up. My other thing is about the dog marks. How are they dismissing the dog marks, and how can they explain that they just got rid of a dog they've had 7 years to the family?
Yeah, that's another thing too. 7 years is not I got a puppy for Christmas and I realized I can't handle it. 7 years is, a long time to have a dog. And then conveniently that dog is now, rehomed or whatever. According to Coffindaffer, it's living its best life in Vermont or something, I think is what she said. I don't remember, but I have some theories about the dog. Anyway, I don't know many people that do, but yeah, I mean, that's a long time to have a dog. And then all of a sudden to have the dog, rehomed after that time. And if it's because of dog attacks, then rehoming it to somebody else, or not because of dog, if it's because the dog is attacking people, rehoming it to somebody else isn't going to make sense. It's not like all of a sudden, oh, well, if you're, in Vermont now, you're not going to, try to rip people's heads off or whatever. That's not really how that works. So none of that made sense to me either. I don't think I don't think it checks out either.
Me neither. Turtle Boy said them arresting him was a gift. What do you say about that?
I think it was. I mean, obviously, he got on every news station. The first thing he said is, he wanted to ask them, the news reporters, to ask them about the plow driver. I mean, he got more information about the case out. I think it was good for him.
Yeah, the plow driver, you would think, would have been the first thing they'd have went to. I don't understand why they wouldn't have.
Yeah, it got a lot more eyes on it.
Lucky. Yeah, Lucky, he's being able to look right down on everything.
Yep.
The plow driver is something that I think is really interesting too, because I like my ex-husband was a plow driver, and one of the things that he always would talk about is like they have the trucks sit up and they're very well lit so that you can see off to the side, because he said people will be out there no matter what time it is. People will be out there like shoveling snow and stuff, and so he said like you have to have good visibility and you have to pay attention. There's always stuff like kids and bikes and whatever. So I've always heard from him and all of his friends like how you can see everything up there, and they drive the same routes. Like this isn't like you get so then like when you're sitting up that high and you see down, like you can see a lot more, and to have the the same route, like you're going to notice when something's off or when something's not normal, because they drive these same routes for long periods of time, because once they're used to it, they keep driving it. So it's, if he says that he's sure that he didn't see it and he drives this same route all the time, and he says nothing was out of the ordinary,
you know every bump in the road.
Yeah,
you get to know every bump in the road when you do the same thing all the time. You see everything. So I don't know. Anyway, Brandi, I've been a subscriber for, I don't know, 5-6 months, something like that. We love you, and I'm glad you do all the work, and I get to just listen and go from there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
calling.
calling.
Honey, you have a good evening.
You too. Have a great evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That was great. We've had a lot of good calls tonight.
Yeah.
I will say about the dog, the rehoming thing, because I've done a lot of dog rescue specifically. And we even have had some situations in my town with dangerous dogs that had to get rehomed. And generally the way that's done, is the animal control officer, or even like a local dog trainer or a group like us or a rescue, will often have them placed with someone who is experienced, with a rescue type, rehabilitation, so that we don't have to put the dog down. So that could have happened. And I think if that did happen, we should know about it. Like that would probably be done through, like, locally in my town, that happened with an animal control officer, help place that dog to a rescue out of state with plenty of room at a place that's a sanctuary for dogs that are troubled, to keep them away from people. It's like a farm.
And there's documentation of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's another like weird, the fact that we don't know is kind of weird. Like, because I think it would be unusual for them to place that dog in some unsuspecting pet owner's hands. You know what I mean? That would be kind of, I agree. I think that they probably did it to a rescue or something like that, or an animal trainer, somebody that specializes in that stuff. We're almost out of time. Let's take this call, because we do have a call on the line. Make it a good one. Hopefully this is a good one back. Be a little quicker than some of the past ones, please. Who's on the phone right now?
Hey, Mike, Tom DeRosa. How are you?
Tom, how you doing, man?
Excellent, Brandi. Love your work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right, quick question.
Yes.
Cell phone data. Have you thought of starting with the phone, starting inside the house as if it was left there by accident, or they had it to try and scrub it? And then they put the phone out after the fact. Have you thought about that?
Yes, because there's a 10-minute period where Jen McCabe is not calling him anymore. And that's one of the things that I thought of, just like when I'm working through different possible theories in my head, there's a 10-minute period where she's not calling him anymore. And then all of a sudden she starts calling him back to back and, over and over. And also during that time frame where she's not calling, there are some steps that start, and she's, the steps are starting and they're registering on her watch, but not her phone. So it's like she's not messing with her phone yet, but she's up doing something. And then she starts calling, and the steps, are during that block. So we don't know. There's one period where they register on her phone. It's only like 16 steps. So one of my thoughts was like, okay, maybe she's, you know, if something happened and then they're like, oh crap, what about the phone? And then they're calling the phone and trying to, you know, find out where it is, if it dropped, you know, coming in or something like that. That was one of my thoughts about that. If they were trying to, if those back-to-back calls and texts, you know, after the gap of no calls and texts were for that reason.
And
also it's really weird that Jen McCabe said it. Sorry, it's also just really weird that Jen McCabe said in her statement that the phone was underneath John's body. That's a really weird thing to be in her statement. That was something that really stood out to me too, because how'd she know that? Like, unless she was right there when they took him off, which from everything else, the way it sounded, she wasn't right there when they took him off. She had gone over there, you know, to the car. So how would she have known that his phone was right there? And there's no chain of command or documentation of, you know, who had the phone at what times. The steps on his phone are very weird, which I've been comparing those to other people who were there at the time. There's something that's off about his phone, and there's constant steps from the time that they get there until I can't remember what time it was, like 11 or something in the morning. And then there's a little break, and then there's some more. So something's up with his phone, but it was really strange for her to not have been over there when they moved him. She's at this point supposed to be over in the car, you know, with Karen. For her, according to her statement, to say his phone was underneath his body is insane to me. But also, was it? Because nobody has, it's not listed as being taken. Like, you know, that's one of the things that's always listed, you know, when you take it, it should be on that sheet, and it's not.
Well, if she had it, she could have given it to whomever and say, here, this was found under his body. I just got one more quick question. With all your experience and all the things that you've seen, have you ever seen the state police of anywhere in the entire country, ever seen the state police refuse to ask for video footage from the deputy chief that lived across the street that captured it all? Like, this is like the best Massachusetts has to offer. You have cameras that captured the scene that they just didn't even bother asking about. How is that?
It blows my mind. Because, you know, video evidence should be one of the very first things that they do, because that's one of those, you know, anchor data that I was talking about earlier, where, you know, you can't really lie about that. If it's a clear shot and you can see what happens, that's something that is going to give you, that's truth. And that should be what they're looking for, is truth. Like, they don't need to look for a conviction. They need to look for truth. And if you have video, that's one of the first things that should have been done, is, you know, canvass the neighborhood and ask for, you know, video footage, especially as many people have Ring cameras and stuff now. So it blows my mind.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, guys. Thank you, Mike. Good job.
Have a good night. A lot of good calls.
Thank you.
I think they did ask for that camera footage from him, though. The guy across the street, Kelleher.
There was the one that who said he had the I don't have the addresses in front, but there was the one that said that he had his camera, but it didn't show. And then there was I can't remember which one it was that they said that they never asked him. There was in the I think it was in one of the defense documents or whatever, where it was saying that they didn't even they pointed out that they didn't even ask him. I think
the next door, yeah, but not the police chief. The lieutenant police, or the assistant police chief, whatever they call him, Tom Kelleher. I went to college with him, actually. I used to drink beers with him. I haven't seen him in like 25 years, so, but he's a good guy. But you know, having a camera at my home, I will definitely say, for me, even if you know, the main house where the accident happened in front of the Albert House, even if he had cameras that were working, to me, it's not surprising that he probably wouldn't have caught anything, because like, if I have people over at my house, I turn the cameras off. You know, I think for most people, I think you turn your cameras on when you're not at home or when you're sleeping. When your family or friends are coming in and out of your house, you generally turn the cameras off. I don't know if everyone does that, but that's the way I do it. So I would not be surprised that, that's the reason why some of them don't have any footage. But again, I think that you point out, Brandi, and so many times Aiden has too, how many cameras they didn't try to get. Like that's the key, is like how many people they didn't talk to. They didn't try to investigate this. They were, you could tell
because even with him saying, that it didn't show anything. Okay, well, so give it to us. Like that's
exactly.
How can you just accept that as, oh, okay, well, all right, then carry on. Like you don't know what's in there if you don't see it. You could see, it could corroborate, any comings or goings. If you saw somebody else, on the street at some time, there's so many different things. You don't know what could be on there unless you get it. So no matter what he says it covered, they should have taken it anyway.
Yep. You know what? And it's funny because it's so funny when you think that you're probably like everyone else. Because as soon as I said that, we got 6 comments that are just like this. And they say, what? Most people leave them on all the time. A CA on YouTube says mine are on all the time. Another Sharon says mine turn on with the movement. Another one says either way they should have requested the data, but a lot of people are saying they actually do keep them on all the time. I generally don't, because I try to, I guess, conserve the battery. I don't want to watch myself going in and out of the house. I'm a dog walker, so I'm leaving the house all the time during the day. Maybe I'm different than everyone else. So it's interesting. A lot of people say that they do keep them on, especially at night, is another comment. So
I keep mine on.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I guess we're all different with those cameras.
Yeah. But
I think that's the key point, is that they didn't ask everyone, especially on the route. Like, there was so many things that they did miss.
Mm-hmm. Because even like somebody, further down, like if they're not asking them for it or, requiring them to get or whatever, then who knows what you can see. If you can see, taillight here, or you can see another car, speeding away there, or you don't know what could be on there, and to not even try, and to not ask him to give it over anyway, even if he says that there's nothing on there, just it blows my mind. But whole case has blown my mind, which is why I don't sleep at night anymore.
So what? I don't even put the phone number out anymore, and they're still calling us. Well, let's take one more. We're like overtime right now, but we'll take one more. Why not? Actually, it could be the same guy.
Hi.
Who's this?
Hi, Mike. It's Joanne.
Joanne. Hi, Joanne. I think you're a regular caller. How you doing tonight?
Doing good. Once I just figured out I have to mute the podcast to hear you. I was there in double ring last time I called, but it's great listening to you and Brandi. I found you both through TV. I've been a long time, of Turtle Boy, and the Glare as well. He's amazing. I think he's funny. I just have 2 questions about Michael Proctor's investigation. One, it might have went over. I didn't get on the podcast till later, but is it unusual that he did the geofence that he only did for Android? Like, why would he just do for the 2 main brands, Android and iPhone? So that's weird.
Yeah, it's definitely unusual. And that's one of the things that I put in one of the episodes too, because I think it was like 62% of people have an iPhone, but only like 30-something% have Android. And so that was one of the things that I said too. And knowing that, they have iPhones, if he's taking, supposedly taking the evidence, like they know that the phones that were collected were iPhones. So to not do it for iPhones, I think it was not only intentional, but it was sneaky. And when Lally sent, when they turned around and requested to get the Apple stuff too, and Lally sent that,
right,
that thing saying, oh yeah, like they got the request, they're going to get it. And he sent them the old one. I think that was intentional too. Like that's not something you mistake. That was
Right. It's like they keep making like it worse and worse. You know, I mean, why not? I was thinking, does it cost more money to get the iPhone? You know, she doesn't want to put out for the iPhone, just the Android, like a request. But okay, so that's with my second one. Isn't it weird that Michael Proctor was not even on duty that day and just happens to go in and becomes the lead investigator? I mean, even the other guy that found the taillight was off duty that day. The other police officer, I think, was the chief of police of Canton or somebody. Another police officer was driving by on his day off and happened to find, you know, the taillight, you know, in the snow after the fact. Right. So it's just these people are not even on duty. And they just happen to be, I mean, I don't
and even the judge,
I'll go get it, you know.
Yeah. Like, I think that it just goes to show that all of the people who don't have jurisdiction, people who weren't, you know, they weren't up, it wasn't their turn, they were off, whatever. All the people who are literally interjecting themselves into the case are all people who have some kind of connection or tie to the Albert and McCabe families. And that is alarming, you know, between, you know, like you said, Berkowitz and Lank, Proctor, the judge, that's too many people inserting themselves into this where they're not supposed to be, and for it to just be a coincidence. Yeah.
And for them not to think anybody would even question that, it's crazy. But I think maybe the state just they're committed now, and they have to just go with these, you know, changing their stories and, you know, all this other stuff. I mean, I don't see how they can overlook it, but it seems like they're pretty committed to it now.
Yeah, which is stupid because, like, I mean, it took me, you know, like a few hours to go through all of the reports and like put it together that you know, their new theory about, you know, their timing and stuff goes against literally every other thing that they've said. Everything that they've said previously would have to be wrong for their theory to be right. Yeah.
Right. They're winging it. They're just going along with whatever comes up next. Right. Okay. Exactly. Well, I mean, I don't think this will go to trial. I think it has to be, you know, dismissed. I don't see how they can bring her to trial.
It's going to be interesting. Thank you so much for calling in tonight, Joanne.
All right. Thank you so much, both. Have a good night, guys.
You too. A regular caller. Good questions. We have really good informed callers, don't we? I mean, that was just amazing, Brandi.
Yeah, the callers are great. Like one thing I've noticed is that the people are very into the details of this case. And I think that's one of the reasons that people were a little bit, they gave me some I got some harsh, you know, comments and stuff in the beginning because they're like, you didn't even say this, you didn't even say this. And I'm like, okay, y'all keep in mind, like, I am introducing this case to people who have never heard of it.
Right.
Like, just be patient, give me time. You know, I've got to walk them through, you know, the whole process, because a lot of my viewers and listeners and stuff are people that haven't been, you know, digging through this for a long period of time. So I got a lot of crap in the beginning about, you know, like how, you know, I wasn't telling everything, and I'm like, you can't tell everything in a, you know, 50-minute podcast. You have to give me time to make it through it. So, but it's gotten better now that everybody, like, you know, has seen, like, okay, this is a process. We're getting there. Like, we're going through everything. It's gotten better.
Awesome. I think you got a lot of new listeners, subscribers tonight. It sounds like too. We got quite a few people. Yeah. Hopefully it gets out to even more people. We've been noticing too, like, just more interest in this all the time. I'm hearing from, like, just, you know, people in my life are asking me about it that normally, you know, aren't as interested in what we're doing on this show. To be honest with you, they're all just asking. They want to know what's going on. I guess one of the last questions I have for Brandi too, as we wrap it up here, is, have you ever seen a case like this? Is this like the most shocking case out there? Like, or is this like, there are other cases this shocking out there?
I think that the depths of how deep this one goes has been interesting. Like, I've covered a few that have, you know, some questionable stuff and some corruption and, that type of thing. But the amount of different agencies is one of the things that you hear people that are going against this saying, like, there's no way, because it does sound wild when you're saying like, oh, state police and Canton police and Boston police, but it's not necessarily all the agencies, family, and I think that's what a lot of the people who are on the outside are saying, like, there's no way, because all of these agencies could be doing it. And I think that's one of the things that's so wild about this is, when you say it like that, like, it sounds crazy, but it's not all these agencies everywhere. It's this family and their connections. And so it is wild. And I've compared, the Alberts and the McCabe's to, like, I've called them like the Boston, area version of the Murdochs because of, their pull on, like the strings that they could pull in the town and stuff like that. And that's like the closest that I've seen to a comparison on, what they're capable of doing with those connections. So it's crazy.
Awesome. And we got a bunch of people commenting in the chat saying they're giving you 5 stars on your iTunes. I hope everybody is. Go give 5 stars on iTunes, 13th Juror Podcast on iTunes. You can also rate it too now on Spotify. You can give reviews on Spotify. That's a new thing. People should be doing that too. I'll be doing that tonight. I hope you guys also give us some good reviews too, and like and share the content on YouTube if you're watching, wherever else you're watching. I want to thank Brandi so much for being here tonight. Tell everyone again where they can find you and follow you.
Yeah, I on Twitter, my handle is at Brandi in Church. It's Brandi with an I. And then I have the YouTube channel is Brandi Churchwell, and then of course 13th Juror Podcast is everywhere. And then I have a lot of the charts and pictures and stuff. If you go to 13thjurorpodcast.com, I have like a crazy amount of like charts and pictures and who's who and stuff that makes it a lot easier to keep up with everything. So
thank you so much for being here. The last thing we're gonna do, I want to thank again Brandi for being here tonight, but we're gonna let you go, and I just want to go over who's donated tonight and talk about some of the upcoming shows. So thank you so much for being here tonight, Brandi.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
Bye now. Again, we're the Young Jurks, and I want to thank everyone tonight for donating. We've had a lot of donations tonight. I also want to make sure that you're aware there's going to be a public select board hearing on this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And we're going to be broadcasting it live. So check that out on our YouTube or Facebook or wherever you follow us. There's also a big party this Saturday. I think there's only a few tickets left if it hasn't sold out already. But if you want to make donations to it too, hit up Nick Rocco and his wife, Jenna Rocco. If you're a business owner too, and you want to make donations to the cause, they do a lot of raffles. Get involved in that. Justice for John O'Keefe and Karen Reed. Follow the Facebook group. Find Nick and Jenna Rocco on there. That's a big event coming up this Saturday night at the VFW in Malden. I'm hoping to go there, but I really don't think I can. I think if I do it, my partner is going to get really mad. And I have a dog here that I really can't leave, unfortunately. I so want to go to that. But there's other things going on too. This week, it looks like Aiden is going to be in court, maybe. He's going to be challenging. He's got a really strong lawyer. So there's all kinds of things. And I get on Thursday, I think Kate Peters is going to be in court too, facing some charges. So there's so much going on this week. We'll be all over it. That's why I want to take a few days off, because I knew this week was going to be big and we're going to do a lot more. But I want to go through some of the donations because we have had quite a few donations tonight. Number one, I want to thank Tammy. And again, if you're giving donations to us until tomorrow morning, we're going to give 25% to the Free Turtle Boy Fund, the Turtle Boy Defense Fund, 25% to Karen Reed, and 50% to the Young Jurks, our show, to help keep and fund our show. There is a cost to do this, so it does help us fund that, and we want to actually invest in it. So it really does. We'd really appreciate. Tonight, Tracy gave us $50. Her comment, and if you do, give us money tonight through the Cash App or Venmo, or even until tomorrow morning, again, 50% is going to go to those 2 defense funds, and the rest goes to us. But we also are giving out these Young Jurks bumper stickers to anyone who donates tonight. So if you donate tonight and, later on this evening, maybe you watch it on the replay. If you donate through the Cash App or Venmo, put your address, your name and address in there. If you want us to ship out, mail some free bumper stickers to you. We're going to add those in tonight. Tracy gave us $50. Big donation. She says, TikTok, boom. Free Karen Reed, free Turtle Boy. Keep spreading the word, Mike. Much respect for your coverage of this effing bullshit. Thank you, Tracy. Tracy V gave us $50. Barbara McCarthy gave us $40. She said, great show. Tammy C gave us $37.25. It looks like. She says, bumper sticker, Turtle Love. So she gave us her address. We're going to send her a bumper sticker. Definitely. Those are on Venmo. And let's see what came in on the Cash App, if anything, tonight. And on the Cash App, we did get a couple donos. Sean Colburn gave us $25. And Candace Bowman, I don't even know how to say that. Candace B will say, also gave us $25. And she said, thank you for all your help, Mike, from Candy. And I also want to make sure that I do shout out. There have been a lot of standouts happening. Let me just, one of the donors wanted me to shout that out from a message on his Facebook. So let me just read that out. Sean, who gave us a donation tonight, said, can you give a shout out tonight to Canton peaceful protesters? Our next standout is at the Milton Public Library Thursday, 3 to 6 p.m. Thank you. Looking forward to your show with Brandi tonight. So check it out. There's going to be a standout Thursday night, 3 to 6 p.m. at Milton Public Library on Thursday night. So you got so many things going on. And again, the standouts are happening all across the state, north, south, west. I guess Turtle Boy was out there in a standout in Worcester today. Just, join the groups if you want to get involved in this. Justice for John O'Keefe. Look for it on Facebook, the Facebook group. A lot of activity happening there. I want to thank everyone. 9 p.m. It's just about Aiden's going to be on tonight, Turtle Boy. I want to go watch it like everyone else. So I want to thank everyone for donating. Again, we'll be back on Tuesday night. We will see everyone then. I want to thank Brandi from Conspiracy in Canton, the series she's doing. It's a controversial case of Karen Reed. She just put out part 5 from the 13th Juror Podcast. Brandi Churchwell, who was on the show tonight. She was awesome. I want to thank all of our great callers and especially all the people who have been donating to us. Thank you so much. And again, we're going to see you again on Tuesday night. We're going to be watching to see what happens. Public comment is coming back on Tuesday night. It'll be interesting to see if Chris Albert shows up. He shows up to court for Turtle Boy. Hasn't been showing up for his official duties on the select board. So it'll be interesting to see on Tuesday night, does he come and face the music again? Again, we're the Young Jurks. This is Mike Crawford. And I just got another donation before we go off the air here from Sherry H. She gave us $25. She said, yes, bumper sticker. Great show tonight. So she's going to get a bumper sticker too. She just sent over her address. I want to thank her for donating as well tonight. We've had some great donations. Again, we'll see everyone probably in the Turtle Boy chat in a couple minutes. I know a lot of people are going to be watching him tonight. Turtle Boy is on, yes, at 9 p.m. We'll all be probably watching him right now. Again, I want to thank everyone. We'll see you soon.
But we begin with a developing story. Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found face up in the snow on Saturday morning
outside a home currently occupied by people known to O'Keefe.
Officer Saraf observed the victim to be cold to the touch, no signs of breath.
He was transported to the Good Samaritan Medical Center where he was pronounced dead.
State prosecutors accused Karen Reed, who was O'Keefe's girlfriend, of backing into him and leaving him to die in the snow.
Reed and the victim had been out out drinking at a couple of bars in town the night before when they were later invited back to a home on Fairview Road.
She stated that she dropped the victim off and left.
Reed's attorney says she tried to call O'Keefe and had no idea anything had happened to him.
Reed pleaded not guilty to manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of a crash causing death.
An investigation into the death of a Boston police officer in Canton has taken a turn. Lawyers for the woman under arrest not only say their client is innocent, they're alleging a cover-up.
Prosecutors point to pieces of a broken taillight as evidence, but her lawyers argue the police report was altered.
First got to that scene at 6 a.m. and did not find a single piece of taillight. And then 12 hours later, boom, they found taillight everywhere.
People in this town are scared of the people who are supposed to protect and serve.
I don't think there's any kind of conspiracy or anything like that.
They say there were a lot of people at the home that night, and one of them Googled how long to die in the cold hours before Reed would have known O'Keefe was missing.
This is not a Hollywood star. This is an accused murderer getting a standing ovation as she enters the courtroom. What is going on out there?